A promise kept. 15 years had passed since that emotional farewell on Zarian. Marcus had eventually left the mining station and now worked as a diplomatic engineer, specializing in cross-cultural technology integration. His experience with Kira had sparked an interest in alien relations that shaped his entire career path. When the Nexari Empire requested a human engineering consultant for the Grand Peace Summit on Neutral Station, Aurora, Marcus never imagined he would be selected. The summit was historic, 5 major galactic powers coming together to negotiate the largest trade and peace agreement in known history. Marcus arrived at Station Aurora feeling both excited and nervous. The massive space station was a marvel of cooperative engineering, built jointly by multiple species as a symbol of what could be achieved through unity. As he made his way through the gleaming corridors toward the Nexari delegation quarters, his heart raced with anticipation. The years had been kind to Marcus. Now 38, he had matured into a confident and respected professional. His experiences with different alien cultures had given him a unique perspective that made him invaluable in diplomatic situations. When the doors to the Nexari wing slid open, Marcus stepped into a garden paradise. The aliens had transformed their section of the station into a replica of their homeworld, complete with flowing water features and bioluminescent plants that pulsed gently in the artificial twilight. Marcus, a familiar voice called softly from behind him. He turned slowly, hardly daring to believe what he was hearing. There, walking toward him with graceful steps, was a young woman who took his breath away. She had Kira's luminous eyes and gentle smile, but she had grown into a stunning beauty. Her silver markings had deepened and now formed intricate patterns that seemed to tell the story of her life's journey. Kira, Marcus whispered, his voice thick with emotion. She approached him without hesitation, and in a gesture that bridged years and light years, embraced him warmly. "I told you I would come back," she said. Her English now flawless, but still carrying the musical quality of her native tongue. They spent hours catching up, walking through the station's observation decks and sharing stories of their separate journeys. Kira had become a skilled diplomat and warrior, trained in the finest Nexari traditions. She spoke of her studies, her travels to distant worlds, and the heavy responsibility that came with her royal lineage. But through it all, she said, gazing out at the stars, I remembered the human who showed me that kindness exists even in the darkest storms. Marcus felt something stirring in his heart that went beyond their childhood connection. Kira had grown into a remarkable woman, intelligent, compassionate, and strong. When she looked at him, he saw something in her eyes that matched what he was feeling. "Kira," he said carefully, "these feelings. Is it proper for us to... ... double quotes?" She placed a gentle hand on his arm, her touch sending warmth through his entire body. In Nexari culture, bonds formed through acts of pure kindness are considered sacred. What you did for me created a connection that transcends politics and species. As the station's artificial night cycle began, they found themselves alone on a secluded observation deck. The vast expanse of space stretched out before them, filled with countless stars and infinite possibilities. "I've thought about you every day for 15 years, Kira admitted, moving closer to him. "Wondering if you were well, if you remembered me, if the feelings growing in my heart were real." Marcus reached out and gently touched her face, tracing the beautiful silver patterns that adorned her cheek. "I could never forget you, Kira. You changed my entire life." Their first kiss was tender and electric, a moment that seemed to make all the stars align. 15 years of separation melted away as they held each other. Two souls from different worlds finally reunited as they embraced under the starlight. Neither could have known that their love story was about to face its greatest test. Part 4. The Challenge Love Under. For the Peace Summit had been progressing smoothly until news of Marcus and Kira's relationships spread through the diplomatic channels. What should have been a private matter between two individuals quickly became a galactic political incident that threatened to derail years of careful negotiations. General Corvin, a powerful military leader from the Nexari war faction, arrived at Station Aurora with a fleet of warships and a declaration that shook the very foundations of the summit. He burst into the main conference hall where delegates from all 5 powers were gathered, his ceremonial armor gleaming under the chamber's lights. "This union is an abomination," Corvin declared, his voice echoing through the vast space. "A Nexari royal cannot bond with a primitive human. It weakens our bloodline and brings shame upon our empire." Marcus stood beside Kira at the Nexar delegation table, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes upon them. The other alien delegates whispered among themselves, clearly uncertain about how this development would affect their own negotiations. General Corvin Kira replied, rising gracefully to her feet, "You forget yourself. Matters of the heart are not subject to military decree." Corvin's eyes blazed with anger. "You are third in line to the throne, princess. Your choices affect the entire empire. I will not allow you to disgrace our people by joining with this inferior being." The words stung Marcus, but he remained calm. He had faced prejudice before and understood that Corvin's hatred came from fear. Fear of change. Fear of losing power. Fear of a future where old divisions might crumble. General Marcus said, stepping forward, "If you believe humans are inferior, then give me a chance to prove otherwise. Name your challenge." The chamber fell silent. Challenging an Nexari general was either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish, possibly both. Corvin's laugh was cold and harsh. "You would dare? Very well, human. 3 trials, as is our ancient custom. Combat, wisdom, and sacrifice. Fail any one, and you will leave this station and never see the princess again." Kira grabbed Marcus's arm, her eyes wide with worry. "Marcus, no. Nexori trials are designed for our physiology. You could be killed." But Marcus had made his decision. He looked into Kira's luminous eyes and saw not just love, but hope. Hope for a future where different species could truly unite. "I accept your challenge, General." The first trial was combat. Held in the station's arena before hundreds of witnesses, Corvin selected his finest warrior, a massive Nexari soldier named Vex who stood nearly 8 feet tall and moved with deadly grace. Marcus entered the arena, armed, only with his engineering knowledge and determination. As Vex charged with his energy blade crackling, Marcus used the environment to his advantage. He redirected power from the arena's shield generators to create electromagnetic fields that disrupted Vex's weapon, then used his smaller size and human unpredictability to outmaneuver his opponent until Vex yielded. The second trial tested wisdom. Corvin presented Marcus with an ancient Nexori puzzle that had stumped scholars for centuries, a crystalline matrix that needed to be unlocked through understanding of Nexari mathematics and philosophy. Marcus spent hours studying the crystal while Kira watched anxiously from the observation gallery. Finally, he realized the key wasn't in Nexari knowledge at all, but in combining human engineering principles with alien mathematics. His solution was so elegant that even Corvin's supporters applauded. The third trial was sacrifice. Corvin demanded that Marcus give up something precious to prove his worthiness. Without hesitation, Marcus removed the small pendant he had worn for 20 years, his mother's last gift before she died. "This is all I have left of my family," Marcus said, placing it on the altar. "But love requires sacrifice. Kira means more to me than any possession." As the pendant dissolved in the ritual flames, something unexpected happened. General Corvin himself stepped forward. His expression changed completely. "Enough," Corvin said quietly. "You have proven that human hearts can be as strong as Nexari souls." He turned to Kira. "Princess, you have chosen wisely." The storm's gift, the crimson sands of planet Zarian, whipped violently across the mining outpost, creating a wall of dust that blocked out the twin suns. Marcus Reed pulled his jacket tighter as he hurried through the storm, his worn boots crunching against the crystalline fragments scattered across the ground. The mining station's emergency sirens wailed in the distance, warning all personnel to seek shelter immediately. Marcus had been working on Zarian for 3 years now, maintaining the heavy machinery that extracted precious minerals from the planet's harsh surface. The pay was good, but the isolation was brutal. Most workers counted down the days until their contracts ended. But Marcus found something peaceful about this desolate world as he rounded a corner near the abandoned storage units. Marcus heard something that made him stop dead in his tracks. Through the howling wind, he caught the sound of quiet sobbing. Following the sound, discovered a small figure huddled behind a broken piece of equipment. It was a child. But unlike any human child Marcus had ever seen, her skin shimmered with a pale blue hue, and delicate silver patterns traced along her arms like living tattoos. Her large, luminous eyes looked up at him with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, and she was clearly starving. "Hey there," Marcus said softly, crouching down to her level. "Are you okay, little one?" The child flinched at first, pressing herself further against the metal debris. Marcus noticed she was barefoot, her small feet already showing signs of frostbite from the cold Zarian nights. Without hesitation, he began unlacing his boots. "Here," he said gently, sliding off his protective footwear. "You need these more than I do." The alien child stared at the boots in wonder, then looked back at Marcus with confusion. Why would this strange creature help her? In her young mind, she had been taught that humans were dangerous, that they took everything and gave nothing back. Marcus helped her slip on the boots, which were far too big for her tiny feet but would provide crucial warmth and protection. "There we go," he smiled. "Much better." The child's eyes filled with tears, but this time they weren't from pain or fear. She had never experienced such unexpected kindness from a stranger, especially one from another species. She whispered something in her native language that Marcus couldn't understand, but her tone conveyed deep gratitude. "Are you lost?" Marcus asked, pulling out a nutrition bar from his pack. The child nodded and accepted the food eagerly, devouring it as if she hadn't eaten in days. As the storm began to subside, Marcus made a decision that would change both their lives forever. "Come on," he said, extending his hand. "Let's get you somewhere safe." The child hesitated for only a moment before placing her small hand in his. Together, they walked through the settling dust toward the mining station, neither knowing that this simple act of compassion would soon echo across the stars in the days that followed. Marcus learned that the child's name was Kira, and she had been separated from her family during a sandstorm while traveling with a caravan. He cared for her like his own daughter, sharing his meals and teaching her basic human words. Kira, in return, showed Marcus the beauty in small moments of connection that transcended language and species. What Marcus didn't know was that Kira's family had been searching desperately for her, and they were not ordinary travelers. They were members of the powerful Nexari Empire, and Kira herself carried royal blood in her veins. The Discovery secrets revealed 3 weeks had passed since Marcus found Kira, and the young alien girl had become like family to him. She helped him with simple tasks around the mining station, her curious nature and quick learning ability impressing everyone who met her. Marcus had grown attached to her bright laughter and the way she looked at the world with wonder. Despite her difficult circumstances, on a clear morning, as Marcus was teaching Kira how to operate the communications equipment, the station's sensors picked up an approaching vessel. It wasn't like any human ship Marcus had ever seen. The craft was elegant and sleek, with flowing lines that seemed to dance through the air as it descended toward their landing pad. "Kira," Marcus said, watching the girl's expression change from curiosity to recognition. "Do you know who that might be?" Before Kira could answer, the ship's doors opened with a soft hiss, and several figures emerged. They were clearly of Kira's species, but these aliens carried themselves with an air of authority and dignity that spoke of high station. The leader was an elderly male with intricate golden markings covering his arms and face. Kira let out a cry of joy and ran toward the group, speaking rapidly in her native tongue. The elderly alien's stern expression melted into one of overwhelming relief as he embraced the child. Marcus watched from a distance, happy to see Kira reunited with her family, but feeling a hollow sadness at the thought of losing his young friend. The elderly alien approached Marcus, his bearing regal and imposing. When he spoke, his English was perfect, but heavily accented. Human, he began, his voice carrying the weight of authority. I am Elder Thane of the Nexari royal house. You have cared for my granddaughter? Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. Granddaughter. Royal house. He looked at Kira, who was now dressed in flowing robes that had been brought for her. Suddenly, her natural grace and the way she carried herself made perfect sense. I didn't know, Marcus stammered. She was just a lost child who needed help. Elder Thane studied Marcus carefully, his ancient eyes seeming to peer into his very soul. You gave her your footwear, he said simply. You fed her from your own rations? You protected her without knowing who she was or what reward might come. Marcus nodded, unsure of what to say. He had simply done what felt right in the moment. In our culture, Elder Thane continued, such selfless kindness creates a bond that transcends bloodlines. You have shown honor that many of noble birth never achieve. He paused, glancing at Kira, who was watching them both intently. My granddaughter speaks of you with great affection. She says you treated her not as an alien or a burden, but as family. The weight of the revelation was settling on Marcus. Kira wasn't just any child. She was Nexari royalty. The Nexari Empire controlled dozens of star systems and commanded respect throughout the galaxy. Their technology and wisdom were legendary. Their military might was unquestioned. There is something you must know, Elder Thane said, his voice becoming more formal. Kira is not merely of royal blood. She is third in line to the imperial throne. When she comes of age, she will wield tremendous power and influence. Marcus looked at Kira, still seeing the same curious, kind child he had grown to love. That doesn't change anything, he said firmly. She's still Kira to me. Elder Thane's expression softened, and for the first time Marcus saw him smile. And that Marcus Reed of Earth is why our empire will remember your name. As preparations were made for Kira's departure, she ran to Marcus and threw her small arms around him. I won't forget, she whispered in English, the words carefully practiced. Someday, I come back. Marcus hugged her tightly, not knowing that this goodbye was actually the beginning of something far greater than either of them could imagine. A crown of star 6 months after the trials, Kira received news that would change everything. Emperor Thalin, her great uncle and ruler of the Nexari Empire, had passed away peacefully in his sleep. According to Nexari law, she was now heir apparent to the imperial throne. The coronation ceremony was set to take place on the Nexari, homeworld of Avalon Prime, a planet of stunning beauty with floating cities that drifted among eternal storms of aurora light. Marcus accompanied Kira as her chosen consort, still amazed by how quickly his life had transformed. As their ship approached Avalon Prime, Kira took Marcus's hand and squeezed it gently. Are you ready for this? She asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and nervousness. Marcus looked out at the approaching planet, its surface covered in crystalline spires that reached toward the stars. As long as we're together, I'm ready for anything. The coronation ceremony was beyond anything Marcus could have imagined. Millions of Nexari citizens gathered in the capital city of Luminos, their voices raised in ancient songs of celebration. Representatives from dozens of alien species came to witness the historic event, including a large delegation from Earth, as Kira knelt before the Council of Elders to receive the crown of stars. Marcus stood beside her, wearing ceremonial robes that marked him as the imperial consort. The crown itself was a marvel of Nexari craftsmanship, a circlet of pure energy that would bond with Kira's life force and grant her the wisdom of all previous emperors. Do you, Kira, of the House of Thane, accept the burden and honor of imperial leadership? Elder Saran asked, his voice carrying across the vast ceremony ground. I do, Kira replied, her voice strong and clear as the crown settled upon her head. Filling the air with gentle light, something unprecedented happened. Empress Kira rose to her feet, and instead of accepting the traditional obeisance of her subjects, she knelt before Marcus. The crowd gasped. Never in Nexari history had an emperor or empress knelt before anyone except their predecessors during coronation. 15 years ago, Kira said, her voice magically amplified so all could hear. When I was lost and starving, a human stranger gave me his shoes. He asked for nothing in return. He knew nothing of my identity or station. He simply saw a child in need and acted with pure kindness. She gestured for Marcus to kneel beside her, and together they faced the massive crowd. That single act of compassion taught me that true nobility comes not from bloodlines or birthright, but from the choices we make when no one is watching. It showed me that the universe is vast enough for all beings to find common ground. Empress Kira stood and helped Marcus to his feet. Today I declare that the Nexari Empire will no longer stand apart from other species in arrogance. We will extend our hand in friendship to all who seek peace. And we will remember that sometimes. The greatest empires kneel before the greatest hearts. The crowd erupted in cheers that could be heard across the city. As Marcus and Kira embraced before millions of witnesses, representatives from dozens of worlds came forward to pledge new alliances and partnerships with the Nexari Empire. General Corvin. Now, one of Kira's most trusted advisors approached the imperial couple with tears in his eyes. "Your Majesty," he said to Kira, then turned to Marcus. "Your Majesty," he repeated, acknowledging Marcus's new status. The Empire has never been stronger. As the celebration continued into the night, Marcus and Kira stood on the palace balcony, overlooking the illuminated city. The aurora storms painted the sky in brilliant colors. In the distance, ships from 100 worlds formed a constellation of unity. "Do you ever regret giving away those boots?" Kira asked, leaning against his shoulder. Marcus smiled, remembering that cold morning on Zarian when he first encountered a scared little girl hiding in the storm. "Never," he said, pulling her close. "Best investment I ever made." As Empress Kira laughed, her joy echoing across the stars, the Nexari Empire entered a new golden age built on the simple foundation that kindness, once given freely, returns to us multiplied beyond our wildest dreams. Their love story became legend. Proof that sometimes the smallest acts of compassion can reshape entire civilizations. And that true strength lies not in conquest, but in the courage to care for those who need us most.